Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back. Website's InsideRealEstateRadio.com. There's some good legal stuff from our legal expert extraordinaire, Perry Cockerell, and of course his website, perryjcockerell.com. So that was good stuff. Thank you, Perry. But now it's time to get into some insurance talk, and our insurance expert, Richard Tonihka, is here. RichardTAgency.com is his website, RichardTAgency.com. By the way, folks, Richard can shop over 25 companies behind the scenes, get you the best policy and the best rates. This is something that your Allstate, your State Farm, your Farmers cannot do. By the way, he could put your homeowners with one company, your automotive with another company, still give you bundle discounts. Nobody has the ability to do that. That's why it's just a no-brainer to call Richard and talk to him about insurance. And
it's always fun explaining that to people. And it's like, it's not the same company. I know, but it's still going to be bundled because everything's with my agency. And, well, but it's different companies. I'm your agent.
Only we can do that. It's important to note that only Richard, only Goosehead can do that. It's something that it's a very unique model, and it's why it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. And today, good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to talk about investors, the people that have rental homes, and because the kind of rental home that, or the kind of insurance that you have for your rental home or your investment property is going to be different than your homeowner's policy, in the fact that there are so many different types. Well, with homeowners policies, there's a bunch of different types of policies as well. But for some reason, when you're looking at an investment property and you're looking at your insurance, most people just really shop on price. And I've run into this more recently where people are, well, you're more expensive. And I was like, well, the policy that I'm offering you is actually one that will cover you. And if something happens, you don't have to worry about something because the policy you have is good for that piece of paper and the ink that's on it. But other than that, there's not a lot that you're covered for.
Yeah, I mean, for a quick example, they might be people get quoted on price, like you say. They might be getting quoted on a limited peril policy, and of course it's no-brainer all peril.
Yes. And the woman that, one of the women that I was talking to this last week, we were looking at her rental properties. Very smart about her business and everything, and just in general. But when it came to insurance, she strictly went by price. And we're looking at the policies, and I'm just like, one of the big things is the investment properties. You've got Texas dwelling policy 1, 1+, or 3, and so a Texas dwelling policy, I'm just going to say an investor policy, 1 is actual cash value. And anytime you see actual cash value on anything insurance related, it's not a good thing. That means depreciated value comes in.
That's right.
And a TD, and I'm going to talk about just one of my carriers and what they say is covered. And this is fairly general because every carrier is going to be different in whether something is going to be actual cash value or depreciated value or replacement cost. But with this one carrier, a TDP1 or an investor property 1 covers fire, wind, hurricane, hail, explosion, vehicles, or riot. That's it. They don't cover sudden and accidental water. They don't cover foundation. It's not replacement costs. They don't cover vandalism or malicious mischief. They don't cover falling trees or limb or weight of snow or ice. You are covered for those 6 things, and that's it. And even then, if one of those 6 things happens, it's a depreciated value. Mm-hmm. And so let's say your house or your roof is 15 years old. To replace your roof, the adjuster comes out and says, your roof is going to cost $10,000. You've got a $100,000 house. Yes, very small. But just to make my math simple. So your roof is 15 years old. You've got a $10,000 claim. They're automatically going to cut half of it right off. So now you're down to $5,000 for the claim amount that you're going to get or that they're going to pay on. Then you take out your deductible, $1,000, because it's a $100,000 house. And let's just say that you had a good agent, or the agent just stuck you at 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So now that $10,000 claim, you're going to pay $6,000. The insurance company is going to pay $4,000. Where if it was replacement cost, you would pay $1,000. The insurance company would pay $9,000. So you're in fact losing $5,000 out of pocket because you saved $400 or $500 on your insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, unfortunately, that's the policies that this particular person has. And you're just looking at one hailstorm comes through, and if it hits 4 or 5, 6 of our houses, that $5,000 multiplied by 6 houses turns into $30,000 loss out of pocket. Nobody is going to. I mean, that's when you really start seeing the benefit of going with a replacement cost over an actual cash value policy. And it's also when you start looking at, when you're investing in these properties, you're really investing in that money or the income coming in from the renters. So if something happens to where there's a fire, there's a hailstorm, or a tornado comes through, and your homeowner isn't living in your house, you're still going to get your fair market or fair rental value, even though they're not living there because of whatever risk that was covered, until you're able to re-rent that, whether it be to them or to someone else. But while they're out, you're still going to get a certain percentage of the money, or you're still going to get your rent up until that coverage limit is reached.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And let's continue on the other side of the break. Let's hold for a second, and we'll go to break, and then we'll come back and finish that up. Hold on.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. All right, let's resume our insurance conversation here. We're talking about depreciation, and that, look, when you really need to think about that, because, that actual cash value versus replacement is a big deal.
As an investor, you're looking at your ROI. And anytime you have a claim, that is going to affect your ROI on that house. And so knowing what you're covered for, and you want to minimize your loss, and the best way to do that is pay a little bit more for a replacement cost. So let's say you had a investor policy or DP1 with replacement costs added. It still doesn't increase the number of risks that you're covered for. All it does is, for those 6 or 7 things that we talked about, all it does is say that you have replacement costs for that. It doesn't include water. It doesn't add any additional perils.
Right.
But let's say that you did want to add the additional perils. You can do that. And if you want to add the additional perils, and sorry, my headphones are going out. You want to add the additional perils and get replacement costs on your policy, you're looking at a investor policy or a DP1 plus or a DP3. Those are the two. And the big difference in those is, with this particular carrier, both cover sudden and accidental water. The DP3, or the investor policy 3, covers foundation caused by water. And that's really the big difference in those two. But they give you the additional perils. They give you the replacement cost for everything, or not everything, but as much as this particular policy does. And so what they're looking for is, what kind of policy do you have? What are your risks? Because just because my risk is different from yours, a DP1 with replacement costs may be all you're interested in. And if that's your risk, that's fine, as long as you know going in. It's just one of the things that I try to do for people is to make them educated on, this is exactly what you have. And if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. I'm going to make you sign all the documents and notices that says, I explain that these are the limitations of your policy. But if that's not what you think you have, and it's not what you want, then these are your options. And it's not just with one carrier. It's with a myriad of different carriers where we're going to look at, and although these are just general statements, I mean, a DP3 with some carriers may be different from a DP3 with other carriers, where they may limit or change your roof from replacement cost to actual cash value. And just knowing that going in is one of the things about educating people to make sure that you know exactly what you're paying for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when people are getting quotes from insurance companies, basically, I mean, people need to understand how the industry really works. Is, if they're getting a quote on homeowners or automotive, they're simply just going through the policy based on all of your information, and then they're just cutting everything out to get you the lowest price. So they're selling you the most base model possible. So think of it as a vehicle. They're selling you basically the wheels and the chassis and the engine and not much more.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really almost without doors, and it's without, windows and et cetera, because it's not protecting you. It's a vehicle. It'll go up and down the road, sure, but it's not going to protect you.
And like I said, if that's your risk, that's fine. But knowing the person, and this is the reason that you have to have the conversations with people, is to find out what your risk is. Because I have some people that's all they want is the absolute bare minimum. This is what we want. We don't care if we have a total loss, kind of thing. But if that's not you, if that's not your risk, and you're going in and you're saying, okay, for this particular home, my ROI is at this. And so you're looking at, for this particular policy, I need it to be at this price, and these are your options. And we can do that. Just give us a call and let us know, and we'll take care of it. But
absolutely. And the website is richardtagency.com. richardtagency.com. Richard will get you squared away for all of your insurance needs over at Goosehead. Hey, he's the best. Folks, we will see you next week, 8 to 9. We're here every Sunday. We're out of here.